So in this segment, we're going to be discussing Biden struggling when it comes to speaking. He did an okay speech. I think it was in Detroit recently. He seemed fine, but it was off a teleprompter. This stuff is questioning where there's no teleprompter here to save you, and you can. It's not great. Let's put it that way. Let's get into the video.
And now I want to hand it over to the president of Ukraine, who has as much courage as he has determination. Ladies and gentlemen, President Putin. President Putin. We're going to beat President Putin. President Zelensky. I'm so focused on beating Putin, we got to worry about it. Anyway.
I think with that one, he caught himself, which is a good sign. But the fact that he made the mistake isn't great. I know he's prone to gaffes, so that one you can kind of say, oh, okay, But the problem is he has got a habit or a track record, a pattern of those kind of gaffes more recently, where it's gotten worse and worse. And the next one I think is worse.
The record that your decline has become noticeable. Hasn't this now, frankly, become damaging for America's standing in the world? Thank you.
Did you see any damage to our standing in my leading this conference?
I mean, given the fact that the biggest takeaways, the biggest news stories from this conference are his gaffes, I would say yes.
Have you seen a more successful conference? What do you think?
I mean, normally I don't hear much about these conferences, so yeah.
And the Putin piece, I was talking about Putin, and I said, and now, at the very end, I said, Putin. I said, no, I'm sorry, Zelensky.
What concern?
And again, that's a good sign. Like he remembered that. Okay, it's fresh in his mind, and he managed to go over that. But it's this bit which I found really weird.
Concerns do you have about Vice President Harris's ability to beat Donald Trump if she were at the top of the ticket?
Look, I wouldn't have picked Vice President Trump to be vice president, but I think she was not qualified to be president.
Let's go back again.
Trump if she were at the top of the ticket.
Look, I wouldn't have picked Vice President Trump to be vice president, but I think she was not qualified to be president.
So, he wouldn't have picked Vice President Trump if he didn't think she was qualified to be president. These are the only two gaffes here, I think. So it's not the worst sign in the world, but I think given the fact that these are the biggest stories from this conference, it's definitely overshadowed it. The other problem is this is being covered in multiple different countries' media as well, because it's a big NATO summit. You have journalists from around NATO members who would be there. It's just not looking too good, is it? I think for Biden. You got the Trump assassination plot. I think the polls aren't great for Biden. It's quite 50-50 in battleground states. He's not doing the best. I don't know if he's going to turn his base around, and I think people are going to look at that and they're not going to vote for either of them, to be honest with you. I don't think most people will say, well, some people say I can't vote for Trump because the guy's deranged, a lunatic, but I don't want to vote for Biden because he's there's something deeply wrong with him. There's something deeply wrong with him, and I can see that playing out. I think the Democrats should have replaced Biden, but the thing with I think these kind of illnesses, I'm no expert in this field, is that you can't tell your brain has slowed down that much and he feels fine. And I think that he would be quite proud of himself that he caught that slip on the spot with the Zelensky one. But with the rest of them, I don't think. I don't know, man. I feel like any country where there's only two potential nominees, we've got the same problem in Britain. It's just a complete disaster, especially when they're very old politicians.
You can't let this guy come forward. He'd be a disaster.
Now, there's a question of what European leaders are saying. Well, obviously, first of all, countries don't typically criticise the nominees for another country's premiership during an election. They just wouldn't do that because you don't want to annoy the other leader if they win. That's why David Lammy, our foreign secretary, has been ingratiating himself with MAGA Republicans. There's a reason for that. You play both sides because you don't want to get shunted by the other one. And of course, people have been saying to him, you don't want to lose to Donald Trump. He doesn't name these specific countries, though.
Be a disaster. We've never been here before.
And, obviously European leaders are reliant on America heavily for defence. America is big dog in the world. This is the last guy you want to be criticising if you're reliant on big dog.
And that's the other reason why you say hand off to another generation. I've got to finish this job.
And I think that's the problem there in his head, where he thinks like he's still got more to do. I think he's proved himself, the politician. His legacy is set. I think he's trying to bring back manufacturing to America, which is great for Americans. He's also completely destroyed his legacy over Gaza, in my opinion. But I think when history looks back on him, I don't think they'll say he did the worst job, especially given that no American president has been good on Gaza, anyways. Trump would have been infinitely worse, I think, on this ongoing crisis. I don't think Obama would have been much better, or Bush, or any of those other guys. So I think history will see him as a guy who just should have stood down, and he didn't. And the other thing is, his team should have done a much better job. I think his team should have told him, look, it's done. But, it's too late now. I think they can't come out and brief against him, because it's going to hamper his election chances, and you're going to be potentially helping Trump at that point. It's a complete nightmare for America. I'm glad in Britain, fair enough, we had a choice between Sunak and Starmer, which wasn't great at all. But I would take Sunak or Starmer over Trump and Biden, or Trump or Biden, I'll be honest. But, I don't know if he'll make it the next 5 years. I don't know if he will live that long. I also don't know if his team will just say, look, it's over, and essentially try and get rid of him and put in Kamala Harris. I genuinely am so unsure of what the hell is going to happen over the next 5 years for America if either of these two win. But for Joe Biden, I think it's over, Chief. I think he should have retired, and he could have had a good life. Whatever's left of it. I just don't understand these politicians who are multi-millionaires, who have all everything you could want in the world, and just won't retire and will just cling on to power for no reason, like him, Pelosi, Schumer, what's the turtle boy's name, Mitch McConnell. That generation, these people are, some of them are older than baby boomers. Just retire and go spend time with your grandkids. I don't get it for the life of me. But anyways, I'm going to leave it there. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Support the channel on Patreon if you can. And hopefully I'll see you in the next one.